Hello folks, hope you're having a great day today. Today we'll take a look at The Dreaming City. It's the first story written in the Elric saga. It's a novella-length story. It was written in '61. It introduces the main characters, Stormbringer, Elric, a lot of those sorts of things. It's more of a novella length, technically, although it's really kind of a short novella. It's like 35 pages in this collection. It's not a long story to read at all. It's only 4 chapters long. You could easily read it in a day, and probably take you maybe an hour, hour and a half to read it in just one setting. It's written early on in Moorcock's career when he's writing a lot of these shorter stories that are being written, and so it's one of the earlier things that he's going to write and publish. But it's very popular and starts the Elric series and kicks it off. So what I want to do for you first of all is give you a synopsis of The Dreaming City, and then my quick review thereof. It won't take you that long to go over it. I won't actually go too far into it because a lot of weird things happen very early on in the storyline. But basically what's going to happen in the story, you're going to open with this fleet that is ready to set sail on the capital city of the Melnibians. I'm sure I mispronounced that. The people of Elric and his race. Elric was born this albino young little waif of a person who's only kept alive through sorcery, herbs, that sort of thing, and the power of his soul-sucking sword. And he is this tiny little waif of a person, and he was born as the ruler of this nation, but he was born with the vestiges of a conscience, and so he will leave his city and head out to follow along. But now what seems to be happening is that this fleet seems to be launching an attack, seems to be preparing a launch of attack on his own home city. And he seems to be involved with it. He seems to going to be leading them. They're questioning, he's been away for a while, and they're questioning whether or not he is going to be leaving them and abandoning them. Of course, he's not going to abandon them, right? And he'll come back by the end of the first chapter. But basically the idea is that there is this giant fleet that has been assembled from various aspects of the Young Kingdoms. There are some mercenaries in there, some pirates in there, on this giant inland sea, and it is launching the biggest fleet that's been seen in centuries to go raid and sack the last outpost of the ancient Melnibian kingdom, this great giant city of Imrahur, which is called the Dreaming City, which is where the story gets its name from. So they're going to set out. Elric's going to teleport over, and we're going to have a couple of scenes in the city, and he's going to teleport back and help the fleet out. And that'll be basically the story. And the story will be what happens, and will it work, will it not work, will they be successful or not, what's going to wind up happening is going to be the story. That's the storyline for you. So there you are, there's the Dreaming City synopsis. Now let's do the review of it. This is a very interesting story in which you're going to get a better feel for what Stormbringer brings to the table. It's kind of the story that kind of shows Elric's fall, if you will. He starts out more innocent, but he's going to sail on the Seas of Fate, which is the second book and the third story chronologically. It was the second one that was written. Another one's been put in between there, has sort of the beginning of the fall of Elric from this more happy-go-lucky. He's never happy-go-lucky. I mean, that's never who he's going to be. But he's more caring with others and that sort of thing, more trusting of others. And then beginning in the Sailor of the Seas of Fate, later on, specifically later on, there's going to be some things that happen that begin to push him. And this story is going to be kind of really where it begins, where he becomes more of an anti-hero than a hero, more traditional hero. It's going to be this story, and the story's going to propel him moving forward to being more of an anti-hero. This is where your brooding, or it comes from, and this is from this story. And this is going to be, again, this was written as initially the first story, although he'd go back and give you a couple of prequel novels later on. He writes the first prequel novel, Elric of Melniboné, in the early 70s. Another novel that takes place before this, Sailor of the Seas of Fate. And then a third novel that will take place before this one too, with the Pearl, Fortress of the Pearl. written in 89. So they'll take place before this one, but this one's still one of the earlier ones chronologically, as it really sets events both for the world and for Elric, and puts them all into place as he goes there in order to take his motivation is his cousin Urkun has taken over the throne, rather than just ruling as a regent as he left them at the end of the first book, and has taken his sister as his lover, even though she's immoral, and Elric have a thing for each other. But they're brother and sister, and so you can definitely see vestiges of the Roman Empire in that sort of relationship and dynamic. But anyway, that's it kind of for you. That's the book for you. Well, and by book I mean novella, and it's really, again, it's really much more of a longer short story, to be honest with you. It's shorter than many novellas. It's the shortest novella I've ever read, although that's how it's marketed today. But it's really just a long short story, to be honest with you. There are short stories out there that are longer than this, like at the Mountains of Madness or The Shadow over Innsmouth, stuff like that. Those are both longer than this one is. But there you are. There's the Dreaming City for you. I'll go ahead and leave it to you. Have you read it? What'd you think of it? Do you agree or disagree with any of my thoughts, or is there anything else you want to talk about? I'm happy to sort of engage you with that. If you watched this review all the way to the end and you really liked it, you said there's some good stuff in here, then please feel free to hit that subscribe button. There's going to be so many more of these classics of fantasy, science fiction, and horror. And then finally, I want to thank you for taking some time out of your day and watching the video. We all have so many things happening and pulling us in different directions. So the fact that you spent this time with me, that's very humbling. I appreciate that. Have a good one.